and they attempted to say that John was illegally accessing power from the national grid, then imprisoned him for some 6 months.
Two things have to happen. We have to give away free energy technology, and we have to give away gravity control technology. That's the only way that that stuff's going to get out, because there are so many other interests that want to keep it quiet. And that's why you hear all these spook stories about people, and families are threatened. It's not just threatening the person, it's threatening their family and all their friends, and that's what scares the heck out of people, and they say, well, we'll shut up.
They'll try to find some legal mechanism of closing you down. If you're an idiot and go and try and patent it, you've given them all the inroads on where you are, how to contact you, etc. So be ultra wary of that. And be careful of getting a bullet in the head.
John Searle must be good at dodging bullets, because today, age 72, he has managed to keep himself and his dream alive. This meeting in London is with Harold Asperdon, who has an honours degree in engineering from Cambridge University and is also the retired head of IBM's European Patents Division.
Before we pop off, but that's life.
It ran straight, kept straight all the time, up and down this.
Dressed in his uniform as Commodore President and Chief Pilot of his new airline, John Searle explains the basics of his free energy technology.
What we have here is an idea I started with that kept my mind ticking.
It would.
This is a basic design of the model we want to build, a flying machine. This is the basic structure idea of how to go about assembling this concept. The power unit to drive this machine is basically the same as a domestic power unit that we want to develop, drive cars, but the engine is a bit more complicated.
But that power unit is basic in itself.
Yes, basic. It applies to anything.
And it can run, give more power than the power you're putting in, is that right?
Yes.
When I first heard of this, I realized that you had something new that was different from anything before, in that you have those magnets interacting with one main central magnet unit. The thing I see in it is that the magnets rotate, and if they can cause the ether to rotate as well, the resulting rotation is in the same direction as the magnet, it therefore will accelerate.
The government knows about this work. Nobody's hit them hard about this work.
The government only know what their advisors tell them. Yes. Their advisors get money from the government, and they want to keep getting the grants. So they're not getting the advice they should get on matters like this.
Anyone inventing this would be wealthy beyond belief and would instantly earn themselves a place in history. And that is why I believe that so many people persist in chasing this impossible dream.
So is John Searle simply one of Eric Krieg's deluded inventors who cannot give up on an unworkable idea?
The big money from the Americans
yes.
in particular is essential.
Clearly, Harold Asperdon doesn't think so, and yet it has taken John Searle over 50 years to get someone with Asperdon's qualifications to take him seriously.
No, don't push it.
It started on its own.
It goes on its own.
Was this also to be the fate of people like Aldo Costa and other free energy inventors?
Is it art? Yeah, of course it's art. If this isn't art, what is art?
I worked at the Los Alamos National Laboratory for 34 years, exploring energy production from conventional nuclear sources. And as you know, Los Alamos National Laboratory developed the first atomic bomb that was used on Nagasaki and Hiroshima in Japan. New ideas frequently come from outside of conventional science. I mean, I myself, being a conventional scientist, look at things objectively, look at things in terms of the rules, and it's more difficult to think outside of that. The people who do that generally are people who are very unusual.
On KeelyNet, we get roughly 600 hits a day, and we get a lot of emails from people all around the world that a lot of ideas, a lot of claims. There's something uniquely beautiful about the idea of perpetual motion and the people who pursue it, and some of the ideas that KeelyNet has been promoting for years as a central clearinghouse for something like 15 years now. We study perpetual motion, alternative science, and different aspects of what's called unorthodox science.
Okay, put this here.
Doug Conson is an alternative and some would say unorthodox scientist. Doug designs over-unity motors, that is, motors that put out more energy than it takes to run them, producing a perpetual flow of free energy.
Let's see. It's okay, go, go, go. Here. What we have here is a motor that can run continuously forever because you run it on one stack of batteries and you charge up another. So this is a combination motor generator. This is what I'm into now. You have a little motor right here. Now the way the motor works, it's a pulse motor. So what you're doing is you're turning it on, making this electromagnet have power so it pushes the magnet away. So what I'm doing here, if anybody wants to know the circuit, is I take the battery, put it into the coil, and then just before it gets to ground, I put a switch on it so it turns on and off. And here's the switch right here. It's a magnetic reed switch. It's a switch that's controlled by a magnet going by it. This flame that happens inside this reed switch has a lot of power to it. It should have as much power in there going in as coming out, because every time that coil turns off, all the energy contained in the coil comes kicking back. Now, you can take that energy that kicks back and put it into a second battery and charge up a second battery. So now, there's this flame here, and to make it vanish, conventional electric motor bills will just ground it out or something. But what you want to do is you want to put a full wave bridge rectifier. It's this component you can get at Radio Shack for $1.50. It changes AC into DC. Look at that baby go. Here's the battery being charged here. Watch the volts on it. See, look at this. 12.65 already. 12.66. See, it's going up. And it's going to go all the way up. It's going to go all the way up to 14 if you want. So a few days ago, I ran this motor for 50 hours. And I rocked the batteries forth. I switched them back and forth about 3 or 4 times. And at the end, I still had like 12 point something volts, and I could have gone a lot longer. So what this is it's a motor. I call it an over-unity motor, in that you're using so much power and you're always charging up another thing. So you always have a stack of batteries being charged when you run out of your batteries on the other side of the system. It's like the simplest thing in the world. And it's a motor, which means you can turn a generator with it, and now all the electricity the generator makes is free. Or you can turn a water pump with it, or anything you want, or a car. You can stack these. You can make 12 on a shaft if you want. So that's what I'm looking to have, is like a commercial unit people could buy in a store, something like this. Just something that runs on car batteries, charges car batteries, and you have excess power with a generator to do whatever you want with. So it's free energy, because you don't have to pay for it. It's just happening. It's free.
All machines require some sort of fuel to operate. For example, the internal combustion engine in your car requires gasoline to detonate inside a cylinder, pushing a piston down through a connecting rod to a crankcase, through a transmission, to your wheels. Conventional science tells us that perpetual motion machines that would make all their energy out of nothing are simply impossible.
But next time you fill your tank, it might be worth remembering that your car only uses 30% of the energy contained in the gas. 70% is lost to friction and heat. According to Doug Conson, a scaled-up version of one of his motors would not only power your car at over 100% efficiency, it would be pollution-free and need no fuel whatsoever.
Is this a dangerous machine? For the oil companies, maybe? Can I kill me for this?
The trouble with free energy is that it easily develops into an obsession. If you get very close with one device, but it just doesn't work, well, you're ready to try another one and then another one. So it can take over your entire life, getting closer and closer and failing, and getting closer and closer and failing again. But you know that immense success is just around the corner.
You could have a house up on a mountaintop, living by yourself. You got anti-gravity to fly you back into the city, generate all your electricity, make all your water directly from precipitation from the air, take care of your waste products, generate all the power that you need, heating, air conditioning, cooking, everything from these little circuits. It's a world that people now, most people don't even think about, but we see it. It's like a utopia for us.
The internet, working like the message drums of old, had begun beating out the news of Aldo's wheel around the world. The internet was hot with rumors that the great skeptic from America, Eric Krieg, had at last met his nemesis. And as long as the wheel keeps turning, the pressure on Eric Krieg will continue to mount.
For every perpetual motion design, I see not just wishful thinking, but a misunderstanding of rules of science. These people don't understand the energy involved in simple reactions of combustion, light, magnets, wires, wheels, motion, and I see real science as hoping to set people straight and explain how these things really work.
But the wheel keeps on turning. As a trained mechanic and self-taught mathematician, Aldo was fully aware of the laws of physics, but he claims to have broken through the battle against friction and gravity. He explained that the wheel was always heavier on one side than the other. On the end of the spokes, there are 256 movable weights. At the bottom of the wheel's arc, the green levers activate these individual mechanisms. Each weight in turn is pushed toward the center of the wheel, at the same time contracting the light springs inside the green plastic covers. Then, as the weights reach the top of the arc, a similar system is used to trip the springs, allowing the weights to be pushed back towards the perimeter of the wheel. Thus, the half of the wheel moving downwards is always heavier than the half moving upwards. And according to Aldo, the wheel must therefore turn forever. Perpetual motion is, of course, only one way of producing free energy. For centuries, magnetism has been a known but mysterious source of energy.
Just imagine if we had a technology, once you buy the machine, you never have to pay for energy again. Think of the phenomenal changes we would make. We're going to take 25 watts and run a 7,500 pound machine that I have built that you see in front of you here. That should be totally impossible by all conventional technology. This is it now.
Joe Newman claims that this machine, using no more power than is used to light a bedside lamp, will convert magnetic power into usable electricity, multiplying input to output by many thousands of times. At the same time, he says it will also recharge its own battery.